Hi, I'm Melissa Birch, Green Social Media Manager. I'm sure you have a product or service that you know has the quality and really is a fantastic value. This is absolutely necessary before you even begin to think about green social media. First, the customer has to know that whatever you're offering is really the best in that category. And now you peel back the layer, and then there is the heart of that product and how you have put in your passion, that you know that this product or service can really support the people, your community. You have thought through how this can make it a much better world for the people that buy your product or service. So green really is the foundation, the core, but first you have to have a good product or service. And then you have to understand that your customers come from different ideas of what green is. Some of them, it's really just about health. They're really seeing that this product or service will support their health, their family's health. Then you can even see that there's a whole nother side of green, which is the eco side. Is it sustainable? There's the whole fair trade. Are the workers being treated properly? You know, there's just many ways to understand what green means to the consumer, and each consumer really can approach this differently. And what's very exciting right now is that 95% of Americans are actually doing something that they feel benefits the planet. It could be simple, you know, just turning off lights or driving less, but the other part of it is that they understand that it's a necessity and that every little bit matters. So your product or service really has to take into account what it can do for your clients, but also what can you do for the planet, for the well-being of our children and their children and their children. And this is really the core piece of green social media. Now, the other thing that's amazing, and I just am so excited about green social media, is that it engages people. There's a feedback loop. There is complete transparency, authenticity. You have to have integrity. You have to walk your talk. Your product, your service has to really stand up to the scrutiny of the people that are looking at it. It's in a fishbowl. Anybody can say anything about it, and you need to be engaged at a level where you know that your product and service can stand that kind of scrutiny, that it really stands for something in the world. Or why are you doing it? And I just want to tell you a little bit about my background, because I really have, from the first almost breath in my life, have gone out as a communicator. And what I realized through social media is just how much the world has changed. It's a new planet. It's a new way of doing business. And you have to kind of get with it. And so to me, that just is exciting. I love that because I started as a war journalist. My husband, George, and I were one of the first people in Afghanistan when the Soviets invaded. And, you know, it was an exhilarating time, of course, and a sad time to see what was happening in the country at that time. And I was so desperate to get news out that really showed that there was a possibility of peace, that there was Commander Massoud there, and that he had negotiated peace with the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union. The Afghani people had negotiated a ceasefire in a very strategic place. I took that story to Dan Rather. There was just no way you could get a particular point of view out, even if you completely knew it was true, you believed in it. And so Dan Rather took my footage, training footage, and called it what they called in the news bang bang footage. And this footage was to look like war footage. So it was really impossible at that time to have a voice. And in social media, when it comes to your product and service, you can actually say what you want to say. And the same thing happened to me when I was very interested in how to change the world, how to make it a better place. And so I again was one of the first crews into the former Soviet Union, came back with all this footage, but it wasn't black or white. It wasn't that the Soviets were all great or that they were all horrible. It was a mixture. And at that time, again, because we didn't have social media, it was impossible to show the gray, that there was aspects of the former Soviet Union that were wonderful. The whole sense of the motherland, the connection to poetry, to art, to just, you know, it was astounding. You know, people could recite poetry that were bus drivers. And, you know, and then there was the negative side. I mean, you know, the whole kind of military aspect of Moscow, the way it looked. So, you know, again, social media, this would have been nothing. It wouldn't have cost very much to put the story out. It could have shades of gray, which again, for you with social media, you have to look at all the different angles. You can't just put a box in front of someone. You have to explain it. You have to really have facts about it. You can't just say this is going to save the world. Nobody's going to believe you. So you have the opportunity, and sound bites, which I know people have, you know, issues around, you know, the 100 and whatever 40 characters and this kind of messaging. But in fact, it gives you a chance to add all the shades of gray, all the different colors, and really engage your future customer, your prospect, your customer in this dialogue around your product and service. So you must be feeling overwhelmed, confused. It is, you know, something that's very hard to maintain, to keep consistent. You probably have set up your blog. Maybe you've got your Twitter account, Facebook, or maybe you're just got your website and you know you just have to do this. Or you jumped, you know, right into the deep end, you got everything going, and then it's like, well, I'm not seeing the results. This is just too much time, too much work. And, you know, and it costs. There's a real cost in that kind of effort, and I'm not seeing the return. So what we're doing in Green Social Media is taking you through the steps. The first thing is you really need an evaluation, an audit of what you've got. You know, to really see, is it set up? Is your website, is your blog, do you have a Twitter account? Do you have a Facebook page? All of those things, are they optimized for social media? That's the first step. Then the second step is really you're going to need some tech support. You're going to need some tech training to just have the basics covered, you know, so that what is just the minimum requirement for social media. And then at that point, we would really start to look at the strategy. This is when the whole green, how are you going to message what it is that you're offering as your product and service? So that's really the third step. Now, the fourth step is you need a sustainable systems operation for social media. You need to really understand the steps. You can do them yourself, but you need a game plan, or we can take care of all of that for you. And then the most exciting step then is the fifth step. And the fifth step is really looking at the ideas. You know, what kind of events can you create? How can you really tell your story behind this product or service? How can you have your customers really explain what it is that makes them so excited to do business with you? So that's really the fifth step. And we are really excited. We take a very long history in social media. When I start to look back, I can't believe that it's been like 15 years since I was one of the first people to set up an entire AOL event site that had a live chat. It had downloadable materials. It had all this content around mothers and daughters. It was for Mother's Day in 1996. And well, it's coming up to 15 years. So, you know, this is really, this was really, really early internet, social media. We did this to complement, to promote my National Public Television series called Women in Limbo Presents. Then many years later, I started to use social media again right at the beginning. This was almost, let's see, when was this? This is 2006. I started social media around promoting homeopathy, alternative medicine, holistic healing, and did a 12-hour long Ustream and really engaged people on video that way to advocate for their health and homeopathy. And then I was one of the first people to do a radio series on homeopathy for Voice America, and it just goes on and on. I've been in social media really since its beginning, and I understand that the way you can actually dialogue with your community, and this is just makes it so exciting that this opportunity is available for all of us. So I have a whole report on how you can use green social media, how you can make it sustainable to do all this social networking. So please go ahead and download the free report.